Hey, welcome back, Mayra. This is the awkward week, so apologies, Mayra, Robert. Like, this is the European time zone change, not America's time zone change. So we'll see how this looks next week as well. Also, so
it also changed in Latin America, I think, or at least in Mexico.
It has already changed, or is it changing next week?
No, it changed today, actually.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Didn't Europe do away with this whole thing? I thought like we weren't doing the daylight savings thing anymore.
It gets better, yeah. So the EU has voted that spring next year is the last one, which makes sense. Well, that means in the UK, we'll see, because obviously Brexit, we'll make our own decisions. So yeah, it gets more complicated.
I see. Okay.
We should probably put like a time zone aligned to like 37.5 minutes just to do things out of spite forever.
Yeah, whatever it was in the 1970s, we'll have that one. That's basically our default here. Awesome. So, sorry, I'm just going to find the agenda. Cool. So main things starting off. So Scalbeck's out this week. Alessio's off sick today. Hopefully he'll be back with us soon. Ulrich is out Friday, and Marin, you're also out for some days as well. From Wednesday's your first day out. Awesome. So first, the second item I've got in the announcement was just to reshare the VPN message that was in Slack last week with the handbook stuff. So it might be useful for people to know about that stuff, particularly as the endpoint management things start coming in. Like that's rolling out slowly via email, as far as I understand. So if you get the email that says install it, then please follow the instructions. Awesome. So on to discussion points. So what's the plan for our security release?
I think we should start it. It doesn't look like there's anything critical outstanding for patch. But yeah, I think it makes sense to start. What do you think, Robert?
Yeah, I was planning on starting it today, I think, and then finishing up before Scarbeck's back.
Okay.
Cool. So we're going to do some, like, start the merge window like later today, and then release whatever.
Yep, I think so.
Cool. Could you make sure that AppSec know our plans on that one and check that works for them as well, or just let them know, basically. Awesome. This will also be the final piece of around the API release changes as well. Like, this is the final type of release that we haven't yet been through. So also just be aware of that. Awesome. So on to the next point. So Q4 OKRs. So I am in the middle of making some edits, but I wanted to give you some more context on this stuff. So thanks for everyone who's input so far. Mayra, hopefully the issue is in a state that's reasonably okay to catch up on. And if there's things that you feel you would have contributed if you'd have been around the last few weeks, just shout, right? These are not set in stone. We can edit these for the next few weeks. So feel free to throw in your ideas as well. And what I've started doing is we have our discussion issue where we've been contributing. What I've tried to do is wrap those ideas up into what will become our kind of official 3 OKR issues. They're all still in draft mode, but at least it gives us a place where we can start expanding out on the individual topics. So we'll have 3 OKRs for delivery next quarter. One is going to be around continuing with the Kubernetes migration. So reasonably straightforward. What we need to just, I need to add in a bit of an update, just explaining around like the web stuff will be a stretch goal. We know that because of the pages work that's still going on. And the other bit which I've left as a kind of question mark is around where exactly we'll finish on Q3 and where we'll start in Q4. So we have both the Git SSH and the Git HTTPS stuff reasonably near the end. Hopefully, maybe we'll get one of those done, and whatever's left over will roll into Q4. So it's a few tweaks coming that way. But I don't think there's any sort of radical changes on that one, unless you disagree, Jav.
I mean, I'm super happy today because Git HTTPS looks like it's done. Like I'm moving 100% of the traffic over today with the virtual machines as backup servers. So we can check that box.
Amazing, well done. That's huge.
And next is the Git SSH stuff. So that's good.
Awesome. And I had Dave's going to work on unblocking us on that one as well. So we should have an update hopefully on that one soon about where the extra work will come in. So awesome. That's really great stuff. Then the second OKR, which again is reasonably straightforward, I think, is around the moving our changelog stuff into something that sits inside GitLab. So under the banner of dog fooding, we'll build the thing that will dog food so that we kind of get best of both worlds. So this kind of, I suppose from our side, what we need to do is work out what we need, make it generic enough so that it can go inside the product, and then we can test it out, iron out any of the edge cases, and then hopefully roll it out to everything. So this one hopefully has a reasonably straightforward scope. There was already quite a lot of work done on this about 7 months ago within the releases team. So there's already actually an approach, whole epic and issues have already been spec'd out. So that would be a good starting point for us to actually review those and see if we did that, would that meet our requirements or not? And if not, fine, we'll make something generic, but it certainly had some interesting ideas using labels on MRs as a kind of jumping off point into how do you bring things into the changelog. So I think it'll be interesting to think about with our requirements. And then the third one is the one which I am still doing a load of editing on. So what I'm trying to do for this one is write up something that it's going to be around coordinating multi-pipelines. So it builds on, we've got 4 epics around kind of the complexity of running pipelines. And we've got various things there. We've got things around like the order in which the pipelines run. We've got, so like initiating with the tagging of Omnibus. We've got things in there about the fact that we have lots of satellite projects, which at the moment are kind of quite tied in. We don't have a way of having those isolated. And also the fact that release toys and deployer are like really sort of interlinked with each other. So we kind of have this one thing that tries to do all the kind of preparing and building and deploying. And then alongside that, we also have, at the moment, we don't have a great ability to test releases. So there is a proposal up there around shadow releases, and Scarbeck's also got a sort of similar issue around one of the pieces, I can't remember, it was a sort of slightly smaller but similar vein around a check mode. So what we're trying to do is bring in some of that as well and actually sort of take the first cut at moving things into release tools so that we trigger from there, but also separating out the preparation and building from actual deployments. We can start to move towards a bit more of a sort of isolated approach and adding in some testing so that when we make changes, we can also test that the releases are going to tag and sort of roll out as we expect so that we don't have to wait a whole calendar month to get through every single release type. So I'll make another edit on that today, but again, completely draft. So I wanted to give a bit of context around what I've tried to do, which is take these 4 big epics, which are each of them are very, I suppose, quite broad in their own right, but quite deep. Try and combine them and give us a sort of thinner horizontal slice that might still fit within a quarter. So definitely expecting there'll be lots of detail we have to work out. There'll certainly be some things that I've got wrong. So please do step in and point those out and suggest better ways of wording things. But I'm trying to make it generic enough, not generic, high level enough that it fits for an OKR issue that we can then dive into like specifics of implementation details. We can do that somewhere within the team. Awesome. So feel free to like comment on those issues, as say the individual OKR issues plus our discussion one. Anywhere is fine. Share your thoughts or in Slack as well. We'll bring all these together in the next day or two to get the kind of official OKRs. And then over the next couple of weeks, we'll start really sort of working out like what are the first steps, what do those issues look like, and how do we take that forwards. Awesome. And then the other thing I was going to mention around OKRs was on Q3 OKRs. So we are sitting, well, currently our Kubernetes one is at 50%. We can just recalculate that now with Jarvis' announcement. So that's super awesome. And then our manual deployment steps one, we have the bit we will definitely not get to is halting deployments, and that's totally fine. We have got a question about Sentry, which I believe we got quite close to answering last week, which will move to using metrics and retire the Sentry check if people feel okay with that. Cool. So I've got a little bit of work which I promised Alessio I'd get to today, which is about putting something up so that we agree that this is a development tool. So finding a way to actually pass Sentry ownership back into development, and we can move on focusing on using our metrics that we have in place. So it's a little bit of tidy up to do there. And we have one final task, which I hope we can hit this quarter. So find it, which ties in with this, which is so Alessio split apart the keeping track of things. And there is just one final piece that goes with the notifying release managers. So now we check as we go through a deployment. There are checks as we go through about how the fleet health is. There's just one final piece, which is around notifying release managers if things become unhealthy, reusing the canary bake time setup. So if somebody would like to pick that up, Mayra, I'm not sure how quickly it'll take you to sort of catch up, but like if in the next day or two you're looking for a task, this would be a great one to grab, because this will give us a nice sort of, shouldn't be a huge thing, but it will nicely wrap up that little piece in notifying release managers. Cool. Is there anything else people wanted to ask or say about OKRs? Cool. Over to you, Jav.
Yeah, just wondering what is the latest on performance reviews? Is there anything that's going to happen before the end of this year, or is it going to be beginning of next year? Are we still doing 360, or are we just doing performance reviews with you, I guess, our manager?
Great question. So yes, things are happening. Things are just starting up actually in the next week or so. I won't have all the right links, I don't think, but Marin, if you actually have them, that'd be super.
There are no right links at the moment, mostly because there is a lot of things happening right now. So I can share a couple of very confusing things just to make you confused. So number one is, as a company, we have a completely new process. So it is not a 360 review, it's a performance review. It's an iteration on the 9-box performance reviews. We are going to do, I think, 3, not 9. in the first iteration, but there is a new tool that they're wanting to roll out across the company. However, because this came in so late, when I say late, so late, I mean it is still being developed. Engineering is opting out of the whole process. So we are going to do something in between the 9box and the old compa groups. There is a template in there. I can find that merge request, at least I'll try to find and share it here. But to make things even more confusing, infrastructure, on the other hand, is going to most likely follow the company level approach, mostly because we are so small that we want to probably provide feedback, with an exception that we will not follow the whole process, but we'll take parts of engineering process as well, just because people ops is not fully ready with the tools. So we'll probably take templates from engineering, but follow the general process as they laid it out. I hope that makes sense.
As much as it can, I think.
Yeah, you've somehow managed to send me a paragraph of text without actually giving me any information. I don't know, like it sounds confusing to me.
Timing,
or maybe I just zoned out or something. I don't know. Like it's just.
I think to answer
As
your
soon as I heard 9box, I was like,
yeah.
Things will happen this year. As far as I understand it, there is no 360. I don't believe. I didn't see anything that said there would be, but there is a personal review, and there is like a manager aspect, which is kicking off in the next few weeks. So the personal bit is in early December, I think.
No, it's starting now in November, like mid to late November throughout December. So I was trying to be also a bit funny, which is not really helpful, mostly because it is confusing, and I wanted to like frame it as it is, right? Like it is still being worked out as we go along. So only last week this merge request came in from Eric to set the direction on the whole engineering department. But the general idea, it is more going to resemble the compa groups thing that we did last year, in the fact that you're going to be discussing things with your manager, and the templates are going to be different, and the expectations are going to be a tiny bit different, but it's going to resemble quite a lot compa group review rather than 360 performance review, 360 review that we had at the beginning of the year, if you remember, the peer review.
Yeah, I just remember, and we also had like a lot of feedback on that, and I was curious if any of that feedback was taken and they intend to improve it, but it sounds like the improvement is maybe we're just not going to do it.
Pretty much.
Okay. And this performance review, does it tie into raises or salary adjustments at all, or is it completely separate? It does.
It does. It completely ties into the raises. So there is no more. What was that called? Like the end of the year increase.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I forgot the name of that. I'm sorry, I forgot the name.
Not the cost of living thing.
Yeah, like the cost of living, that one. So we are no longer doing that. We are doing increases based on performance. So this review that is going to be happening now is the one that is going to be affecting compensation starting from February. How do they want to put it? Not with the start date of February, but your compensation from February 1st will be adjusted based on the outcome of this performance review.
Okay.
Cool. So I shared the merge request. You can see the diff there on what is actually happening differently in engineering. And you have all the links for how people group is looking into things, and we are going through training sessions right now with people group to help us with clearing things up.
I'm sorry.
Well, good thing is that all of you are experienced enough with compa groups, compa factors, experience factors, and God knows what else we all tried, which means you'll have a lot of really good insight and you're going to help Amy a lot as well to get this thing right. But good thing is that we are all on the even playing ground when it comes to the process. It's a completely new process. So.
Yeah. Awesome. And so, yeah, you've all got personal like objectives in your one-to-one docs. So now would be a great time to start thinking, having a think about those, and think about how much progress you've made against them, but also where do we go next? Like, what's the other stuff that you'd like to be thinking about? Because this all ties into kind of the next round of those things as well. Awesome. Thanks for bringing that up, Jarv. That's yeah, I'll keep you updated on changes of that one as we keep going, because like it will be, there'll be more information coming in the next days and weeks for sure. Awesome. Is there anything else? Is there anything else anyone wants to bring up?